Hello students, welcome to my channel. Today we will start a new chapter of our Standard 9 Social Science subject, that is chapter number 11, Indian Judiciary. Now we have studied in detail about the two organs of government in our previous lessons, chapters, that is legislative and executive, and now we shall study in detail about the third organ of the government. If you remember, in our previous lesson we learned about the organs of government, and one of the organ of government, that is judiciary. So the third organ of government, that is the judiciary, which is independent, means judiciary is not controlled by any individual, it is independent, statutory and impartial organ of the government. Judiciary is not dependent on any political party or any other institute. It is completely independent. It's not depend on any institute or can be controlled by any external force. Another thing is, it is statutory, means continuous. Okay, it's not like that today judiciary's role is over, now next year. No, statutory, it is continuous and integrated with other elements. Now the next point mentioned over here is, the Constitution of India provides for a systematic, organized and uniform judicial system throughout India. See, according to our Constitution of India, any person must get systematic, organized and very uniform a judicial system so that the person can get justice. And that is why our Constitution provide very elaborate, very systematic, well organized and uniform judicial system in whole India. Anywhere you go for, judicial system is same. The Indian judiciary system is in the form of pyramid hierarchy. So we have a judicial system in a form of pyramid. You can see the diagram mentioned on the left side. Supreme Court, which is also known as Apex Court, is on top. Then Chief Court and Tribunals, which are also known as High Court. Then District Court and Taluka Court. And at the bottom most we have a Trial Court and Special Courts. So it is a triangular or pyramidal hierarchy. We have established uniform judiciary, and in it, at the topmost level, there is a Supreme Court, which is Apex Court at the middle level, and there are a High Court, and under their jurisdiction are the District Court at the district level, and Taluka level there are local and special courts. So this is the bifurcation of our judiciary at various levels. Apart from this, there are trial courts and tribunals which are established to cater to various objectives. All these courts has their own objectives and their own conditions. Like for example, for any court case you cannot go to directly Supreme Court. Okay, it must be bifurcate. It is which type of case, and accordingly it decide that it go to which particular court. Okay. Now importance of judiciary. Why judiciary required? See, whenever any disputes between two arise, we require justice. And judiciary, the role of judiciary is to do justice. Neutral and impartial judiciary is essential in federal system for the protection and preservation of the rights of the Indian citizen and to solve any incongruity between the central and state or between one state and the other state regarding the division of workload. Now, such a nice and elaborate explanation is given. We first of all discuss that neutral means not any one side, okay, not anybody's side or partial, we can say, okay, unbiased. So neutral and impartial judiciary is very much essential for our federal system, we can say democratic system, for the protection and preservation of the rights of the citizens. Judiciary, it is the responsibility of Indian judiciary that the fundamental rights of Indian citizens required to be protected and to solve the incongruity between the state and center, okay, that is dispute, okay, dispute between state and central government, or any dispute, any issue between two states, okay, regarding division of workload and all this required to be solved by the help of judiciary. The judiciary is an important organ as to interpret constitutionally of any provision of any law so that supremacy of constitution prevails. It is a duty of judiciary that the important and the supremacy of constitution required to remain as it is. In our country, nobody is more than constitution. So it is the judiciary's responsibility that the supremacy of constitution remains intact as it is, in order that the legislature or the executive do not violate any of the constitutional limitation. See, it has to be observed by judiciary that any legislature means we already talk about, okay, lower house of parliament, that is Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, then a state level legislature, okay, executive, political and administrative executive, okay, they must not violate any of the constitutional limitation. We require in a country independent, firm, impartial and fearless judiciary. Fearless judiciary means such judiciary which can punish anyone, okay, and cannot be partial with anybody, firm in their punishment and independent, not administered by any individual. And that is the foundation of our democracy. The objective of the Constitution is to see that in a judiciary process there is no flaw of delay and the citizen get quick, cheap and equal justice. See, it is the one of the important objective of the Constitution is that judiciary process, okay, is not flow or delay. I mean to say, citizen must get justice quick, okay, cheap, at low rate, and rate in terms of fees, court fees, at low expense, okay, and equal justice. That is also one of the main objective. The judiciary must provide decision and judgment as quick as possible. Citizens not required to pay much amount to get justice, and justice must be equal. Now, in the presence of alert legislature and executive, the judiciary would always remain active. If the legislature and executive, we learn already political executive and administrative executive. We also talk about legislature. So if the legislature and executive, they are very much alert, then judiciary would remain active. But many a time, due to administrative inactiveness, the administration is inactive and irresponsible, not responsible towards a particular part of executive area. Means executive is irresponsible, administrative part is inactive, and authoritativeness of the legislature. Here comma must be there. Okay, I again repeat the sentence. Please, if you are using textbook, then put comma over here. Okay, I repeat the sentence. But many a times, due to administrative inactiveness, means the administration is inactive, and irresponsibility of the executive. Means executive not take the responsibility. Their behavior is irresponsible and unauthoritiveness. They are not able to express their authority. They are not using their authority of the legislature. Because of all this drawback, here comma will come, impartial, congruent, independent and fearless judiciary has shown judicial inactiveness. Because of administrative part is inactive, executive part is irresponsible, and their authoritativeness is not expressed of the legislature. The judicial part, even though they are impartial, congruent, independent and fearless, they remain inactive. They become inactive. Now, congruent means what? The meaning is given over here, having knowledge. Congruent means having knowledge. Now, we will talk about the pyramid, top, Supreme Court we have to talk. It's also known as apex court. Okay, now we will discuss about the matter of Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is at the apex of the Indian judiciary, at the top of Indian judiciary. Okay, as per the Constitution of India, it is the topmost judicial organization. The topmost judicial organization means whatever judgment provided by Supreme Court, that's rarest to rare can be changed unless President use their power. It is situated at Delhi. Can be asked in exam where Supreme Court of India is situated. It is at Delhi. All this information can be asked in objective type of question, students. All the civil and criminal courts of India have to work under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Okay, their criteria, their working area, okay, that is under Supreme Court, whose civil and criminal courts required to be work under the guidance, jurisdiction means under the guidance and under the instruction of Supreme Court. Okay, now here we have a doubt. Like for example, some students are always asking me in my past years experience, sir, civil and criminal court, but what is civil case and what is criminal case? So students, here is the answer. Civil case which solved in civil court, okay, involve conflict between people or institute. Like for example, you purchase the product and the product is with bad quality and you want to go for court case, then that is called civil case, and it operate in or it listen and hearing done in the civil court, generally over money, you can say. A civil suit begins when a legal person claims that he has been harmed by the action of another person or a business and asks the court for relief by filing a complaint against the business house or individual. Now, criminal case is different. It has to be go for a criminal court, a court proceeding in which a person who is charged with having committed or omitted an act against the community or state, it is brought to trial and either found not guilty or guilty and sentenced. So if it is against the community or state, then that person trial will go for. Trial means court case will go for, and in that court will prove that whether the person is guilty or not guilty, and if guilty, then sentence, punishment announced by the respected court. The most common types of criminal defense cases that we handle are drug cases, domestic violence case, public intoxication and disorderly conduct cases, assaults and battery cases. These all are comes under criminal case. And we also commonly handle cases involving property crimes such as shoplifting, theft, okay, clandestinity and damage to property. All these are legal. Few of them are these blue part are legal terms. Okay, but I just put over here so you understand. Criminal court manage criminal case, that is different, and a civil court manage civil cases, that is also different. Now we get back to the textbook. The next sentence mentioned over here is the Supreme Court consists of one Chief Justice and 28 additional judges. See, this sentence always create issue in exam. Okay, let me highlight that. If possible, I want to highlight it. Now it says that the Supreme Court consists one Chief Justice and 28 additional judges. Means total how many judges? Total how many judges? Total 29. I hope you get the sentence very clearly. The Supreme Court consists of one Chief Justice and 28 additional judges. So if it is asked total how many judges, then it is 29. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is appointed by the President of India. Who appoint Chief Justice of Supreme Court? That is the President of India appoint the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. Now here the question for you students. The question for you is, who is the Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India right now? Okay, you have to find out and you have to write the answer in comment section. Whoever give the answer, I will definitely speak their names in my next lecture. The above sentence which I repeat again, the Supreme Court consists of one Chief Justice and 28 additional judges. Okay, if it is asked how many judges and if it is asked how many total judges, both are different MCQ. So please be careful. Okay, additional judges are 28. Okay, and Chief Justice and 28 additional judges. That is the sentence mentioned. Now the number of judges in the Supreme Court is decided by the Parliament. How many number of judges in the Supreme Court, that Parliament has to decide. But if the President feels that the workload of Supreme Court is increased, more work is there in Supreme Court, President realize, then the President can appoint additional ad hoc temporary judges to manage the workload to the Supreme Court as per the provision of the Constitution. President can appoint some additional judges to manage the workload of Supreme Court. The judges in the Supreme Court are appointed on the basis of seniority. That means the person who is more experienced, senior, they got the priority. Except for the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, all other judges are appointed in consultation with the Chief Justice as well as other senior judges. So, other than Chief Justice, other judges appoint after discussing and consultation of the Chief Justice and also under the opinion of the senior judges. Now we have a qualification of the judges of Supreme Court. A person who is appointed as judge for the Supreme Court should be, point number 1, must be citizen of India. Point number 2, should have provided a service of at least 5 years as a judge in any one of the High Court of India. Means the person must have at least minimum 5 years experience. Be careful, as a judge in any of the High Court of India, or should have an experience of at least 10 years as an advocate in any of the High Court of India. Means either you required at least 5 years experience as a judge of any of the High Court, or you required experience of at least 10 years as an advocate in any of the High Court of India, or should be distinguished judge, extraordinary, okay, talented judge, or a famous jurist as per opinion of the President. President realized this judge is extraordinary, very skillful, famous jurist, then President can express the opinion, and according to opinion of President is also one of the qualification, but should not be more than 65 years of age. Okay, after 65 years age you cannot be qualified as judge of Supreme Court. Okay. So these are the points of the qualification of judge of Supreme Court. Can be asked in exam for 2 marks or 3 mark question. Okay. Next. Thus the retirement age, please underline, most important question. Thus the retirement age is 65 years for the judges of the Supreme Court. At the age of 65, the judges of Supreme Court retire. Now we talk about time period. The retirement age is 65 years for a judge of Supreme Court. As discussed in the previous topic, retirement age is 65. Here the same thing is repeat. However, the change in the age of retirement can be made by the Parliament through framing a law. That means if Parliament frame the law, then under that law, retirement age can be changed. It is possible, and for that purpose, Parliament need to frame the law. They cannot carry the practice of law in any of the Indian courts, but they can provide their service in the committees appointed to investigate into uncommon situation or events. Now listen and understand properly. See, after the judge of Supreme Court retire, that retired judge cannot practice as a lawyer in any of the court, but he can appoint as a committee member for investigation of some events happen in our country. For example, if any incident occur in our country and we require to investigate that particular incident or situation or events, then Supreme Court retired judges can be the member of the committee who will go for investigation, and that is possible. So they can be they appointed to investigation team for some uncommon situation or unexpected events. Now, if incapable to carry out their duties before the time of retirement, then under such circumstances, they can resign willingly from their post by tendering written resignation to the president. So if they are not comfortable, say for example, if they have some health issue or something like that, then if they want to retire themselves before their retirement age, then they can resign. They have to submit their resignation to the president. Now important, but the judges can be removed from their post and power if they are found to be guilty or incapability, misconduct or inefficiency. So you are able to remove judge of Supreme Court from his or her post if he found guilty, incapability, misconduct and inefficiency. But it is not like removing somebody from a job. This removal is in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. That this removal process must be according to the guideline given in Constitution, and it is carried out through called impeachment motion in Parliament. The removal of a judge must be discussed in the Parliament. It is called impeachment motion. The procedure for it is as follows. So what are the procedure? Every house of Parliament has to submit a memorandum and having majority support to the president of the total number of member, at least 2/3 number of the member present in the respective session. So with 2/3 majority, submit the memorandum, okay, to the president or submit their vote to president regarding remove or impeachment of a judge, then by that way it is possible. And based on the presentation by the order of the president, the judge can be removed from his post. So after registered 2/3 majority, president can pass the order, and under that order that judge can be removed from his post. The parliament monitors the presentation of the memorandum regarding the misbehavior of a judge and the conduct of the investigation, as well as the conducting of proof for the same. So when we talk about the misbehavior or misconduct, it has to be observed. Parliament monitor, Parliament observe, okay, and that concerned judge is given a chance, opportunity to present his narration in his self-defense in the Parliament. Suppose we have a X, the judge whose name is X, and you want to impeach, then in Parliament it has to be proved. So conducting the proof has to be present under investigation, and that judge X to whom Parliament wants to remove, that judge get a chance, opportunity to present himself or herself on self-defense in the Parliament. The President of India administers the oath of secrecy and loyalty towards the Constitution. So the judge, okay, conduct the oath, okay, go for an oath that the judge will loyal towards the Constitution and maintain the secrecy. To the judge who appointed to the Supreme Court, and before taking the charge of the post, the judge are required to take an oath in oral as well as sign on the pledge under the presence of President. So that pledge is compulsory. The next is the power and the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, okay, where Supreme Court can announce the judgment, okay, or which type of court cases can be registered in the Supreme Court, that we need to learn. Okay, so we will go for some work on the blank screen also along with our discussion. The Supreme Court of India possesses more power and has vast jurisdiction, the criteria, in comparison to any other country of the world. So our Supreme Court of India has maximum power compared to any of the Supreme Court of any country. This jurisdiction can be divided into original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, and advisory jurisdiction. So these are three types of jurisdiction. Now first we talk about original jurisdiction. When a court, please underline this, you have to underline, when a court has a power to directly give judgment after hearing a case, such power is known as original jurisdiction, and the Supreme Court has the power to make decision regarding the case which no other court has. Means what? Here the court case directly registered in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has power to make decision after hearing the case. Supreme Court use the power and give the judgment. It is such type of cases which is not registered in any of the court but directly registered in Supreme Court. And under this jurisdiction, the following parties should be involved whose conflict are resolved by the Supreme Court. Means following are those example. These are those examples 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that their case is directly registered in Supreme Court. Okay, and that we understand with some rough work on the screen only. Now it has the power to settle the dispute between Government of India and one or more states. Okay, means Government of India versus one or more states. Okay, that is one jurisdiction. Like Government of India says that, for example, we go for helmet example in previous lecture. Government of India say that helmet must be compulsory. Okay, clear? And one or more state oppose that. No, it's not compulsory. then that type of dispute has to be discussed in Supreme Court. I am just giving the example of your level, okay? It's just example, nothing else. Second is, it has a power of resolving the difference of opinion, fights, conflicts between the government of India and one or more states on one other side and one or more state other states. Okay, government of India and one or more state, on other side one or more other state. Means what? It says that one side, this is your point number 1. Okay, now what is your point number 2 says? Point number 2 says that one side, government of India plus one or more states versus against them one or more states. Means government of India plus government of Gujarat plus government of Maharashtra says that helmet is compulsory, but other state, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, they say helmet is not compulsory. So one side we have a government of India and along with them some states, and other side we have either one state or other states. Then the third situation, it has complete power to give judgment regarding fights or quarrels between states. Means what? One side we have a one or more states versus other side we have a one or more states. That means, like for example, the issue of Narmada river water. One side we have a one or more state, other side we have one or more state. Like here one side we have a Gujarat and Maharashtra, other side we have a Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and they have issues. That is called both the side, state versus states. Now the Supreme Court has the right to give judgment concerning any set of union government constitutionally. Okay, that means Supreme Court has a right, the power, authority to give the judgment concern any set of union government. Okay, in any area of union government, Supreme Court can give judgment, okay, based on constitution. Like whenever Supreme Court realized that here something interpretation of constitution is not proper, union government's decision is not under the provision of constitution, then they have a right to give judgment. It has a power to protect and preserve the fundamental rights of the citizen of India. Supreme Court has a power to see that fundamental rights of citizen of India require to be protected. Moreover, it is empowered to issue of habeas corpus mandamus or order of prohibition. Now this word's meaning you have to tell me. Okay, I will explain you the meaning of this. It's a legal terms. Okay, it has a legal meaning. Okay, so these words meaning you have to find out. You have to tell me. Okay, and here it says that they have an order of prohibition also. Means what? For example, if a government announce something, then Supreme Court has a power to prohibit, to stop that particular decision. Okay. Next. It is not in jurisdiction of Supreme Court to settle disputes related to distribution of river waters between states or states. See, it is a bit confusing. I make it very simple for you. Okay. It is not in the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to settle the dispute. See, it is not the criteria of Supreme Court to give a judgment regarding dispute, regarding issue of distribution of river water. Okay, Supreme Court cannot give judgment as far as the issue of water concern. Like the distribution of river water between state, for example, Gujarat and Rajasthan. State, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, versus Goa. States, Gujarat versus Maharashtra, Goa, Rajasthan. Or states, Gujarat along with Gujarat, Rajasthan versus Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. So, as far as distribution of river water, it is not possible. A separate water tribunal gives judgment. See, a separate tribunal is also one type of court. So, separate water tribunal gives the judgment. The judgment of the Supreme Court is final and cannot be challenged anywhere. You are not happy with the judgment of Supreme Court, it's your personal matter. But you cannot challenge the judgment of the Supreme Court. Not possible. They have to be respected by all. The judgment of the Supreme Court compulsory, required to be respected by everybody. Now, second point given over here is appellate jurisdiction. Now, three types of appeals can be made in the Supreme Court under the appellate jurisdiction. The first is cases of constitutional interpretation. Those cases where the question of interpretation, understanding of constitution. Appeal against the civil cases, which I already explained in the same lecture. You can pause and go back and again understand what is civil cases, and appeal against criminal cases. These three comes under appellate jurisdiction. Okay, and appeal can be made in the Supreme Court under the appellate jurisdiction. Means if you are not happy with the lower court, then you can apply to higher court. Like here in under appellate jurisdiction, cases which whose decision is conducted or taken by High Court, and High Court announce the judgment, but not happy with the judgment of High Court, then can be appeal into Supreme Court. That type of situation available. Point number 1, cases of constitutional interpretation. Any person can approach a Supreme Court against the judgment, order or writ given by the High Court on any case only if certificate is issued by the High Court along with the judgment that the case involves any matter pertaining to the constitution which has been falsely interpreted or contains any important question of law, and hence the petitioner, the person who apply for a court case, can appeal in the Supreme Court for the same. The sentence is very lengthy, we divide in the part. For example, High Court give a judgment. See, High Court give a judgment, but it's a question mark about judgment that it is falsely interpreted of constitution, or it contain any important question of law, okay, or there is a doubt about the proper interpretation of constitution. Then in all this situation, the petitioner, the person who registered the case in High Court, that person can appeal in Supreme Court with the certificate issued by High Court, and in that certificate High Court will put a remark that we, the judges of High Court, would like to certify that this case and the judgment involves matter of interpretation of constitution. So we request Supreme Court that look into the matter and allow this court, allow the High Court judgment and the certificate to be registered as a court case in Supreme Court. And if any such certification is not given by the High Court, and if the petitioner approaches the Supreme Court, then in such circumstances, if the Supreme Court finds that any constitutional rights is violated, then it can accept the petitioner appeal. Like for example, High Court say, no need of any certificate, everything is all right. In spite of High Court not submit the certificate, petitioner can approach Supreme Court, and if Supreme Court realize that no, petitioner, the person who registered the court case, he is correct, here we require to understand, here there is a question of constitutional right, then Supreme Court may accept the petitioner's appeal even though certificate is not submitted by High Court. But in any of the circumstances, only petitioner, the person who registered the complaint, who is the party, is the working of the High Court, can approach the Supreme Court, nobody else. Only under the reasons that a false judgment is issued by the High Court, or any other court, then only you can go to Supreme Court. Now second, in the case of civil cases, if the High Court certify that the case involve important question of interpretation of law, and that is the case holds general importance, and it is necessary that Supreme Court decides, then an appeal can be made in the Supreme Court regarding if you are not happy with the judgment or something like that. Judgment of, please underline, this is important, what I read about to read next is important. Judgment of any civil cases involve a sum of rupees 1 lakh or more can be challenged in Supreme Court. So if any company cheat you, if any merchant cheat you, and the sum of that cheating is 1 lakh or more, you can directly challenge that particular party in the Supreme Court. Next, in the case of criminal cases, if any lower court has acquitted the criminal from a capital punishment, and in that case High Court has given capital punishment to the criminal, then in such circumstances an appeal can be made in the Supreme Court. Now the sentence I will read again, I request you to concentrate. In the case of criminal cases, if lower court has acquitted the criminal from the capital punishment, means what? Lower court refuse, lower court says that no need of capital punishment, means what? Hang till death. Okay, death punishment. Lower court says that no need of death punishment. They release that criminal in the death punishment. And in that case, High Court has given capital punishment. But High Court says what? No. This person required to go for death punishment to the criminal. Then in that situation, appeal can be made in the Supreme Court. We will go for our paperwork. Okay. See. Lower court says what? No need of capital punishment. You can able to see capital punishment. Okay, no need of capital punishment. But High Court says that capital punishment is required. So what to do? In such situation, you can go to Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can review its own judgment. Supreme Court can change their own judgment also. Like for example, Supreme Court go for a judgment, then Supreme Court realize that no, we require to rethink, then Supreme Court can rethink. It can be transferred the case. Supreme Court can transfer the case that are going in other courts to Supreme Court. Like for example, one court case is going on in Gujarat High Court. If Supreme Court realized that now this court case required to be transferred in Supreme Court, then Supreme Court can transfer the case from Gujarat High Court to Supreme Court Delhi. The Parliament can increase the power of Supreme Court by framing act. Parliament capable to frame the law and increase the power of Supreme Court. The third is advisory jurisdiction. Now, if the President feels that any particular matter or question hold the importance from the point of view of public welfare, then President can take the counsel of Supreme Court, can take the help opinion of the Supreme Court by sending the matter or question to the Supreme Court for consideration. Means if President wants any guidance from Supreme Court, it is the right of President, then President can ask the point of view of Supreme Court in the context of public welfare. Okay, then President can take the counseling of Supreme Court or counsel or discuss that matter with Supreme Court and ask for the opinion of Supreme Court. Under this provision, the President can avail counsel from the Supreme Court in the question pertaining of law, like any confusion about the law, reality and constitutional interpretation or relevancy of any bill. So if any bill comes to President, President can take the opinion of Supreme Court. But if the Supreme Court finds it is unnecessary to consider or give opinion on the sent matter, it can send it back to the President. Supreme Court realized that here our help is not required, our guidance is unnecessary. President sent to Supreme Court, that is true. But Supreme Court realized that our opinion is not required in this matter, then Supreme Court can send that matter back to President. It is not compulsory for Supreme Court to give the opinion to the President on any matter. It is not compulsory. Supreme Court can send that matter back to the President. And if it is not mandatory for the President to follow the advice or counsel given by the Supreme Court, suppose Supreme Court give any opinion to the President, then it is not compulsory for President to follow that advice or opinion of Supreme Court. The fourth one is other powers. A Supreme Court has a power to review its own jurisdiction, judgment or decision. They can rethink about their own judgment. The Supreme Court can punish for contempt of court if anybody disturb the court process or any type of unexpected behavior in the court which can affect to the dignity of the court. Then in that case Supreme Court can punish anybody under the banner of contempt of court. Supreme Court has a power to nullify any steps law taken by executive if it violate the constitution. Any of the executive, administrative executive or political executive, if Supreme Court realize that it violate the constitution, it is against constitution, Supreme Court has power to nullify, cancel that particular proposal under the law. And this right has been given to the President in the constitution under the provision of right to constitutional remedies. We already discussed rights to constitutional remedies, so I hope you can understand it is one kind of rights to protect the constitution. And that is why Supreme Court is considered as the guardian and the savior of constitution and citizen. Supreme Court protect constitution, not allow anybody to do anything against constitution. Now next we will go for Court of Records. Can be asked for 2 marks, students, mark it. Now Court of Records holds an evidential value, and when any records from the court are presented, no objection can be taken against it. Now Court of Records like a library. If any judgment announced by Supreme Court, then that judgment store in Court of Records, and it is like evidence. It has evidential value, and whenever anything present from Court of Records, nobody can take objection about that because it is the judgment of the Supreme Court. So whatever judgment announced by Supreme Court, all the judgments securely kept under Court of Records. The judgments and decision of the Supreme Court are considered as permanent document, and all are bound to accept it. Whatever judgments are announced by Supreme Court, that has to be present in any of the case, as a reference, and all has to bound and all have to accept it. They are used as a reference by the subordinate courts. Like for example, if I am a lawyer in subordinate court like High Court, then Supreme Court judgment I can take as a reference. While giving judgment and decision, it can be used as a reference, and any court showing its contempt or disapprove can be punished. If any of the court, High Court or any lower court, says that we are not agreeing with the Court of Records, that is judgment of the Supreme Court, then it is punishable offense. This kind of situation is not acceptable. That particular person or individual can be punished. So students, this is the discussion of our topic of Supreme Court, and I hope you understand all the questions. The most difficult question I asked today right now to you is the 3 words, and that 3 words are habeas corpus menendums. These 3 words you have to find out the meaning, and you have to write in the comment section. In the next lecture, I will definitely go through this, but till that point of time, I want you to find out the answer and write in the comment section. So with this, we will end our lecture today, and in next lecture, we will go ahead with the High Court. Okay, and till then, please take care of yourself, students. God bless you.